Hi everybody and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about angles and arcs and circles. So your goal after watching this video will be able to define but also solve questions that involve arcs on a circle, and we find the measure of those arcs by relating them to the angles of the circle. So kind of putting both of those things together. So a little bit of vocab to start, and I feel like sometimes my handwriting is not the best, so let's try this with a little bit of typing here. We'll mix the two together. So the first vocab word is central angle. And the definition of our central angle is it has the center of the circle as its vertex, and its sides contain 2 points on the circle itself. So what does this look like? So if we draw a circle, we know that the center is a vertex. So if this is circle A, that's going to be our vertex. And it contains 2 points on the circle. So maybe this will be B and this will be C. So it's just talking about the angle that's formed by 2 points on the circle and using the center as the vertex of it. So call an angle BAC is a central angle. All right, next up, we have a few more definitions here. We have a minor arc. And let's see, here we go, a little bit bigger. And a minor arc, we define this as, it has an arc degree measure that equals the measure of the central angle. And it's less than 180 degrees in this case. So if we look at a minor arc, it has to be less than 180 or less than half of our circle, and its degree measure equals that of the angle that it represents. So if we look at something like arc BC in this case, so the arc that goes from, gosh, I should change that over. Sorry about that. So if you look at something like, again, sorry about that, arc BC, and we'll highlight this in green, it is the distance from B to C. It's that arc from there to there. And if this angle equals 38 degrees, then we know that arc BC also equals 38 degrees. It's the same as the angle. And again, we're just looking from the run from one point to the other point. All right, so that's a minor arc. You can probably guess that we have different types of arcs here. So let's go ahead and get started with a major arc. So these are much bigger. And in this case, a very similar idea. So for this, we use the same terms, but the arc degree of this equals the full measure of the circle, so 360 minus the measure of the minor arc. In this case, the major arc is greater than 180 degrees. So what does that mean? So let's be more specific here with our labeling and our points. If we have the minor arc from B to C in green, we can have our major arc from B to C. We'll put this in red. Is going to be from basically everything else. So that entire measure. So a circle is 360 degrees. Everything that's not in green, in this case, is going to be our solution. So it's 360 degrees of the circle minus our minor arc equals our major arc. So our minor arc in this case is 38. We can take those two and subtract them and get an answer of 322. So major arc BC equals 322. And again, good way to check, you can add those together, they equal 360 degrees. You did it correctly. So those are kind of the two vocab words that we're focusing in on today with our arcs. A little bit new for us here, and some good stuff for sure. All right, so next up we're going to be looking at semicircles. And for these, it just has an arc degree measure of 180 degrees. So it's basically half of a circle. That's how I always kind of thought about them, is it's just like you take a circle, that's a full circle, and you cut it in half. And that's a semicircle in red, and then you could have a second semicircle in green. And if you were to just draw it separately, it looks almost like a backwards D on one side or a forwards D on the other side. So it's literally just half of a circle. Just take that circle and you slice it. All right, so we're gonna take a look at some questions here that are gonna set us up for success going through and solving today. So different types of questions, and first of which, they're gonna ask us to name an arc based off of some things that are given using, let's say, a central angle. So let's say we have a central angle from here to here. We'll call it A to B to C. And they want us to name the arc using central angle ABC. So in this case, we would say that we have arc AC. We know that it goes from here to here. So we know that that's a minor arc because it's less than half of the circle. And those are basically the characteristics that we're looking for. They might ask you to do it the other way. So they might say using arc AC, what is a central angle? So then you could say arc AC has a central angle of angle ABC. That's kind of the idea of the vocab terminology here, of how you go through and you solve those. All right, the last piece that we're going to be doing today is a little bit of solving. So taking these same measures, we have some circles, and they might cut them up like this. Again, the pictures will be a lot better than me drawing it freehand, but let's say we have O, we have K, we have M, and we have N. And they're going to tell us something. So like N, K, M. So from N to K to M equals 50 degrees. And they're going to want us to find arc NMO. So let's trace this in blue from N to M to O. So they want us to find all of that measure. So again, when you're looking at these, just start it and literally go in order. So start at the first point and at the last point. That's going to tell you the arc. So for arc NMO, we know that we have N to M as our first piece, and then we have like our M to O as our second piece. And let me color code these to make it more clear. So in this case, it looks like we have our 50-degree first piece and then a semicircle on the other side, because that line is a diameter. It cuts a circle in half. So with that, we can use those, put those two pieces together, and we can solve for the entire major arc in this case, which is going to be 230 degrees. So we're basically taking our circles and cutting them into pieces and solving for the spots that are left over. So on your worksheet today, you're going to have a few examples with multiple pieces given, and it's going to be your job to basically go through, calculate the length of each of those arcs, the pieces, and go from there. As always, questions, reach out, let me know. That's our skill for today, looking at major and minor arcs and how they relate to angle measures. I'll see you in class very soon.